Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. It is midweek football in the Premier League and we have a fixture that brings meaning to both ends of the table. Currently edging near the top is Manchester City, who have recently gained the upper hand on Arsenal after the 4-1 win at the Etihad back 2 weeks ago. And West Ham played their part in dragging Arsenal down after the 2-2 draw at the London Stadium. But the Hammers have problems of their own, still lurking towards the relegation zone. Back-to-back defeats from Liverpool and Palace meant points are still required to guarantee safety for next season. Despite this, Moyes' men do have a European semi-final to look forward to in the Conference League against AZ Alkmaar next week. For both sides, this fixture has huge importance, and the last time West Ham won at the Etihad was pre-Pep Guardiola, and it was in September of 2015. So the Blues will still feel a sense of confidence with their strength playing at home. So, as we enter the final month of the Premier League season, will Manchester City take a step closer to a third league title in a row, or will West Ham repay the favour to Arsenal and snatch points at the Etihad? It's a big game, it's an important one, but there has been a few twists and turns as the lineups have been released. As you can see on the left-hand side for Manchester City, the main one is, well, main one if you want to see it like that, but one of the main ones is Stefan Ortega is in goal for Manchester City. Ederson dropped to the bench, which is one of the big ones. I'll go through the lineups in more detail, but you might also see in the West Ham lineup as well, massive changes and only 7 players on the bench. You can have 9, but they've only got 7, and that's due to illness within the camp overnight. I think it was this afternoon some illness was reported, apparently, even though I did read reports last night that they were planning to rest some of their more important players, West Ham. But read into that what you will. There's no Declan Rice, there's no Thomas Souček in the squad. No Kurt Zouma, he got injured against Crystal Palace. They're still without their £35 million signing striker Gianluca Scamacca, who seems to be out of favour and looks like he might be moving on next season. So they're missing a lot of key first team players for this game, in a game they need to get points from. I know it's Manchester City away and not many teams win at this ground. Only Brentford have won this season so far, and that was with an Ivan Toney double. But if there's illness and you can't do much about it. If the illness is real, we don't know, but I still think if it is illness, that's really unlucky. But if it isn't and they're just resting them, then I think it's a big risk. I know they've got the European semi-final next week and they've won a rest place for that, and they've got game, they've got they've got Manchester United at the weekend, and then they've got the final. I don't know. It's strange. I feel like at this point in the season, when you're in a position like West Ham, you need to try and get points from every game, not pick and choose which games you rest players and all that. But we'll see what effect it has when the game begins. Thanks to everyone who's here. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic, as we are coming towards the end of the season. I'll go through the lineups in a bit more detail. We are just under 7 minutes away from kick-off at the Etihad Stadium. So I'll go through the lineups now. We have Manchester City's side, who have rested 3 players from their team that beat Fulham on Sunday. We have Stefan Ortega in goal, signed from Arminia Bielefeld in Germany in the summer. A back 3 of Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, and a returning Nathan Ake, who missed the last 2 games in the Premier League due to injury. John Stones partners Rodri in that midfield role that John Stones has adapted to in the last month or so. He plays with Rodri, who recently scored his first ever Champions League goal at the Etihad in the quarter-final first leg. You may remember that absolute screamer against Bayern Munich. In the midfield, we've got Mahrez keeping his spot on the far right-hand side. In the FA Cup recently, he became the first ever hat-trick scorer at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. On the left, Jack Grealish keeps his spot. He's got 2 goals in 2 games recently when they faced Liverpool at home and Southampton away. The midfield 2, kind of playing in behind Haaland, is Bernardo Silva. He comes in. He's not scored in his last 6 Premier League games, but Julian Alvarez, who plays alongside towards Bernardo Silva, did score in his last game, and that came against Fulham away. A fantastic finish into the top left corner. And then on his own up front, the main man himself, Erling Haaland, 34 Premier League goals for the season. If he scores one more, that's the most anyone has ever scored in a Premier League season. He's currently level with Alan Shearer and Andy Cole, who sit on 34. Can he break that record? He's level with them. Surely he'll break it. It's just a matter of when, not if. So that's the City team. The bench is Edison in as the backup goalkeeper. Rico Lewis is on the bench, looking like he's going to be signing a new contract with Manchester City pretty soon. Akanji dropped to the bench. He has played the full 90 minutes in his 90 minutes in his last 8 games, so I think it's more of a rest for Akanji more than anything. Aymeric Laporte comes in. He's only had 1 appearance in his last 8 games, and that came in the home win against Leicester a couple of weeks ago. Sergio Gomez also on the bench. Every time he's come on the pitch for Manchester City off the bench in the Premier League, he's yet to start in the Premier League, but when he has, they always have won. Also, Maximo Perrone is also on the bench as well, signed in January for £8 million from Vélez Sarsfield. The young Argentine midfielder Calvin Phillips, only playing just above 100 minutes in the Premier League so far this season. He's on the bench with Ilkay Gundogan, the usual Manchester City captain. Again, I think it's just a matter of rest for the captain, and Phil Foden, who's still recovering from his appendicitis being removed. He's on the bench as well. Just 2 minutes. As the teams do come out and enter the pitch, we've got West Ham's lineup. There is 7 who remain from the starting 11 against Palace, and one of them is Lucas Fabianski in goal, closing in on 350 appearances in the Premier League. This is 348. Vladimir Sufal, also a survivor from the Palace game. He's at right wing back. As West Ham go to a back 3 and use wing backs, and in that back 3 is Thilo Kehrer, Angelo Ogbonna, and Aaron Cresswell, with the former Chelsea man Emerson at left wing back. 2 new signings that were signed in the summer play together in midfield, and that's Flynn Downs, who signed for £12 million from Swansea, and Lucas Paqueta, who's currently been in the goal-scoring form. He's got 2 in his last 3, coming against Bournemouth away and Liverpool at home. On the right is Jared Bowen. He's got 5 so far in the Premier League this season, only 1 in his last 13, and that last one came against Arsenal back on the 16th of April. Mikel Antonio's up front. He's got 5 so far in the Premier League. He's also got 2 in his last 3 against Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. And on the left is Pablo Fornals, who recently scored in that away win against Bournemouth in Gameweek 32, where he scored that very cool scorpion kick-like goal against Bournemouth. A very impressive finish from the 27-year-old Spaniard. And on the bench, it's very much a shortened and slimmed bench. It's Alphonse Areola, the goalkeeper. Another goalkeeper on the bench, Joseph Aiyang, is also on the bench. The young Englishman, Ben Johnson, the right back, is available on the bench with Lanzini. Maxwell Cornet, Said Benrahma, and Danny Ings is also on the bench. He's got 1 goal in 7 Premier League appearances against Manchester City, and it came at the Etihad in a 6-1 loss back in the 2018-2019 season. So not the greatest of memories for Danny Ings when scoring against Manchester City in the Premier League. As we are closing in on kick-off now, just under 2 minutes away, City taking on West Ham in a big game in the Premier League title race. Both playing 3 at the back, but we know with City, when defending, John Stones slips back into the defence to make a back 4. It's a very intricate, detailed, just very clever formation plan from Guardiola, the way he's, adopted it through, necessary change, because it wasn't looking like Arsenal were going for the league title, because Arsenal were winning a lot of games, but it was also the fact that City were struggling towards the new year to score goals in abundance, and since this change, they've looked so much more free-flowing and more confident in their play, and it's all down to the likes of having a manager like Guardiola, who can, spring such change into a team and make people adapt so quick as well. Hello, we've got someone in the chat there. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's a big game in the title race. City currently sits second, 2 points behind Arsenal, but with 2 games in hand. And West Ham currently sit 15th They are 4 points off 18th Nottingham Forest. Can they somehow try and edge closer away? It would be a massive ask for David Moyes, who shakes the hand of Pep Guardiola. David Moyes he's got a decent record against Manchester City. Obviously, he's been managing for so long. He managed against Manchester City before they became what they are now. So he's got 15 wins in 39 previous meetings against Manchester City. But his last Premier League win against Manchester City was back in March of 2013 when he was Everton manager. It was 2-0 at Goodison Park, where Leon Osman and Jelavic scored. But he did have great success against Manchester City for Everton back from 2008 to 2012. So just as that takeover was coming, taking over, he got 8 wins in 10 against City. So he's not got a great record against them as recently, but throughout history, David Moyes has been able to take points from Manchester City. As we're about to get underway, referee blows the whistle. John Brooks, West Ham kickoff, kicking right to left. Manchester City left to right. City do have back-to-back home games now in the Premier League. This one tonight and Leeds on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Yeah, Ederson is on the bench and De Bruyne is still absent. He's been a massive part of their recent form, Kevin De Bruyne. But he is currently one appearance off making his 350th appearance for Manchester City. He's so close to hitting that landmark, but this little injury he's got at the minute is just keeping him out. City just have possession at the back edge of their own box. John Stones gets it wide right to Julian Alvarez. Mentioned before, scored that unbelievable goal at the weekend against Fulham. Ake has to hurry to collect the ball away from Jared Bowen. And he's also back. Nathan Ake picks up an injury in the away game at Bayern Munich. Hamstring injury. He missed the last 2 in the Premier League, but he's back tonight, replacing Manuel Akanji in the back 3. As Alvarez now found himself on the left-hand side, driving inwards, plays a 1-2 with Erling Haaland, 25 yards away from goal. He shoots and it bounces into the hands of Lucas Fabianski. First shot of the game for Manchester City comes through the Argentinian Alvarez, who scored from a similar range on Sunday. So he fancied his chances. It did just bounce in front of the Polish international, but he was able to deal with it well. A very experienced goalkeeper, Lucas Fabianski, who kicks it straight to Stefan Ortega, the 38-year-old. He's only got the 1 win against Manchester City in 18 Premier League appearances in the last 18, and that came back for Arsenal in the 2010-2011 season at the Etihad. So it's been a while since he's tasted victory against the Blues, Lucas Fabianski. As once again, City build from the back. John Stones gets the ball from Kyle Walker and he spreads the ball across beautifully to Bernardo Silva, who drive forward and enter the West Ham half. He's got Grealish to his left. He doesn't use the former Aston Villa man and he keeps driving forward, Bernardo Silva, but he's tackled eventually by Soufal. That's now with Jared Bowen, who flicks it off Nathan Ake and wins a throw-in for West Ham in their own half. Lively start from Manchester City, especially Bernardo Silva. Surprised he didn't use Jack Grealish there. But Ake does return to the squad. Very important player, as of late, being used as that left-footed centre-half. Without him, they haven't got a left-footed defender other than Aymeric Laporte, who's not been used very often by Pep Guardiola, clearly not trusting the Spaniard to play this system. Because Laporte is waiting for his 175th Manchester City appearance, joined in the January of 2018. City in the West Ham half. Stones just a short ball to Walker, who has to swipe the ball away and tries to switch out towards Grealish. Had a one by Soufal, all as far as the head of Bernardo Silva, who looks for Rodri, doesn't check his shoulders and is pickpocketed there for a moment. But then City win the ball back as the ball played towards Mikel Antonio is misplaced and the Jamaican can't get on it. Grealish tries to get it back to Ake, comes off Bowen, thrown for Manchester City in the West Ham half. Such a contrasting season this year for West Ham United. Finished 7th last season. They were 2 points off 6th place Manchester United. They lost 14 games all of last season. They've already lost 17 this season. Scored 23 goals less as well. They're only on 37 for the season. Got 3 top goal scorers all on 5. And that's Benrahma, Bowen and Antonio. Yeah, I do think as Walker nearly is dispossessed by Emerson there in the City half, but he does just about releases it in time to Diaz. Yeah, I think Laporte will probably move on in the summer. He's not being used at all, especially the way he would have wanted to. He's not even hit 20 appearances in all competitions this season. Aymeric Laporte did pick up an early injury in the season within August and September, but for a centre-back of his quality to not be playing a lot of games is not what he wants. He's not even reached double figures for appearances in the Premier League so far, the former Atletico Bilbao player, so we probably will be finding ways to move him on to Chelsea. Could be a move, but I don't think City will want to move any more players on to rival clubs. You can make fun that Chelsea isn't a rival to Manchester City at the minute, but next season I'm sure Chelsea should be back towards the upper echelons of the table, so they probably won't want to sell to any more Premier League clubs, but who knows, Laporte might want to stay in England, or he might want to move abroad. Soufal cuts out the Walker switch, and Paqueta's dispossessed by Julian Alvarez. Poor touch from the Brazilian, but Alvarez's pass to Mahrez is just behind the Algerian, and West Ham can look to try and get away, but good recovery from Alvarez in the right back area to regain possession for Manchester City. It's one thing he was known for during his World Cup performances. Julian Alvarez was his sheer work rate. Constantly running and working hard, the Argentine, who did score twice and assisted in the World Cup semi-final to Croatia. Kyle Walker on halfway. West Ham have all 11 players currently behind the ball as Diaz looks to cut through that Irons wall that they've got, and they have got it to Alvarez. Stones, short ball to Bernardo Silva, picked up by West Ham. Bowen on the halfway line has it for the Hammers, and he's played it back to his centre-back, Angelo Ogbonna, 34 years of age now, the Italian. Down the left it goes to Emerson, another Italian. Looks for Antonio in behind. Stones is going to get there first with a heavy touch towards the byline. Keeps it in and gets it to Ortega, who then calmly plays it forward to Diaz, and City can play out from the back again with Stones sending it long up the field down the right-hand side towards Haaland. Headed won by Ogbonna. All as far as Mahrez, who loses out, but Alvarez wins it back on the halfway line, and Mahrez can bring it forward, chased down by Lucas Paqueta, but Mahrez keeps a hold of it, and City are in possession once again. It's over 6.5 minutes in. Still 0-0. One shot on goal so far, and that came from Julian Alvarez 2 minutes in. Grealish is going to look to run at Soufal here. Will he take it on the inside of the outside? He goes for the overlap of Bernardo Silva, who can't quite beat Soufal to it. That's a corner. Good slide challenge there from the Czech Republic international. He thinks Bernardo Silva actually got the last touch, but the referee has given a corner. It's been Mourinho back for a season. I think Mourinho's pretty settled at Roma, but we know how quickly football can change with managerial changes in the Premier League. We've had 15 or 16 changes of manager now. It's just ridiculous. These are two teams who haven't had a change of manager yet. Moyes was very close to a sacking, but he always gets wins when he needs them the most, as Soufal clears the corner at the near post. Quite a poor ball that in the end for Manchester City. And here is the captain for tonight, Kyle Walker. Sends it to the right to Alvarez. He dropped again towards a deeper right-hand side position and swings it back to Kyle Walker as Manchester City get players back in position. And here is Rodri. Does have a goal against West Ham. I think it came during the 2019-2020 season, and it was City's last game before COVID shut down and locked down the league. It was a 2-0 win at the Etihad against West Ham. Rodri scored in that game. Possession lost by Bernardo Silva. Jared Bowen tries to send... No, sorry, that's Soufal. Sends Jared Bowen down the right-hand side. He's got Diaz for support, and he takes it around the Portuguese international towards the byline. Tries the cross. It's nowhere near a West Ham player, and it can be Bernardo Silva to bring it away and send it to Mahrez on the right-hand side. Not scored in any of his last 10 appearances in the Premier League, Riyad Mahrez. He'll look to change that, as he has been scoring in the FA Cup, as we saw last week against Sheffield United with the hat-trick. Here's Bernardo Silva, plays it back to Grealish in the box on the left-hand side. Lays it off. Riyad Mahrez with that shot, and it's saved with the right-hander Fabianski, and another cross from Bernardo Silva was blocked by Soufal. Corner kick for City. Saying how Mahrez hasn't scored in his last 10 Premier League games. He nearly finished that run of no goals with that finish just on the edge of the box. It's a weak one. Didn't quite hit it as nicely as he would have wanted to. I think it took a slight nick off someone on the way through, so it meant Fabianski just had to parry it behind to the side of the goal. Cross goes in. Ake with the header. No deflection on it, just sails over the crossbar. Goal kick for West Ham. It's under 10 minutes in, City coming close to scoring twice with an Alvarez shot and a Mahrez shot. Both saved so far by Lucas Fabianski. The only loss that Pep Guardiola has suffered to West Ham during his time in England came in the League Cup last year in the 4th round, as it ended 0-0. And West Ham were victorious on penalties. But their last win to City in the Premier League was, like I said before, Guardiola at the Etihad Stadium in a 2-1 win. De Bruyne scored City's only goal in that game, who sadly misses out tonight due to injury. Mahrez picks it up as West Ham are sloppy in possession in midfield and City can build again. We do have another game as well in the Premier League. Liverpool taking on Fulham at Anfield for a late victory to Tottenham at home at the weekend. Liverpool, they're going to look to build on that. They currently sit 5th in the league table, but they are quite the way behind Manchester United. They're currently 7 points behind United, and they have a couple of games in hand on Liverpool as well. One of them being tomorrow against Brighton away, which will be a difficult fixture for the Red Devils, as City just try and break down this West Ham defence, who are camped inside their own half, and they're going to try and break down the West Ham defence through Riyad Mahrez. Plays it across to Rodri. Everything to his right here with Jack Grealish. Plays it down the line to Bernardo Silva. He's kept himself onside, gets the ball in the box. It's intercepted by Flynn Downs and headed away by Soufal. As far as Rodri, whose ball's short, and it's been given to Fornals. He lays it off into Antonio. He'll have to hold it up, and he's taken out very wildly by Ruben Diaz, and that'll be a free kick. I think he's also escaped the booking there, the Portuguese international. It was a rash one from Ruben Diaz. As Antonio was given the ball, he had to hold it up. He got away from Rodri, and then certainly didn't get away from the challenge of Ruben Diaz. Yeah, completely takes out the Jamaican striker. He wags the finger and tries to plead innocence, but he knows that wasn't a great challenge. Ruben Diaz, the number 3, joined just under 3 years ago now for £62 million. He's not yet scored this season in the Premier League. He's only suffered one loss when playing for City in the Premier League. That came to Liverpool at Anfield back in October. As the free kick's been dealt with by Manchester City, but it will result in a West Ham throw-in. West Ham restarting at the back. Ryan Cresswell on the left-hand side, clipping it down the channel, looking towards Antonio. The header won by Stones. He falls as far as Emerson. He completes a 1-2 with Ogbonna, and also completes a 1-2 with Antonio towards the byline. He is fouled there by Kyle Walker. He lifted the ball over the experienced Englishman, and very unlike Kyle Walker, he flew in with the slide challenge and didn't take any of the ball, and certainly took pretty much all of the man. I think that's a rightly given free kick there towards the byline, just on the edge of the box, thankfully for Kyle Walker. Bit of a silly challenge there. Didn't have to slide in, but that's the option he took, and he's given West Ham a good opportunity here with a free kick. The relegation battle between Red and Huddersfield this weekend. That is, it's fair. Every single league, from the Premier League to League 2, they've all got exciting finishes. If that's for promotion, if it's for the playoff spots, if it's for relegation. The Premier League, all the leagues have got great races going on. As Fornals crosses in for the free kick, headed won by Erling Haaland, volleyed by Soufal, very wild and very wide. And Mahrez can look to send away a counter attack as he gets it forward towards Alvarez on the halfway line, but it's swept up nicely by Vladimir Soufal, who assisted in his first ever game against Manchester City back during the COVID days, where he assisted a cross for Antonio, who scored an acrobatic attempt that day in a 1-1 draw. So West Ham come forward. Downs lays it off into Paqueta. Out wide left it goes to Emerson, who keeps it alive for West Ham. First real sense of West Ham having the ball against the City side so far tonight, as they're in the final third. Paqueta, a heavy touch, allows the tackle from Rodri, and can set away Manchester City. Haaland into Grealish. can't get away from the side tackle of Flynn Downs, but that tackle's only falling as far as Bernardo Silva, who gets it back into Grealish. Alvarez looks to feed Haaland across in their box, but it's a vital interception there from Aaron Cresswell. Certain goal written on it there. City broke. Grealish tackled the first time, but it was recovered by Bernardo Silva, who then got it back into Jack Grealish, who played a ball around the corner to Alvarez, who got there in the box, and as he tried to square it towards Erling Haaland, like I said, it was a key interception from tonight's captain for West Ham, Aaron Cresswell. He's been at the club now for just under 9 years, signed from Ipswich in the July of 2014. Does have a goal against Manchester City. Came back in the 2017-2018 season in a 4-1 loss as City concede a free kick through Ruben Diaz and Antonio once again. And they're taking it, and it's cleared away by Stefan Ortega in the Manchester City goal. Gone only as far as Angelo Ogbonna at the back for West Ham. And here's Kjær, ball forward into Fornals in the City half. The Spaniard can't find Vladimir Coufal, and it's won back by Bernardo Silva. Plays the cross to Riyad Mahrez. Forward to Erling Haaland. Tries to find Alvarez. It's a poor ball from the Norwegian. And Cresswell will go to Fabianski as he slips from his clearance. And it will be a throw-in for Manchester City. Not the greatest of clearances from Lucas Fabianski, who's played for his fair amount of clubs in the Premier League. Swansea and Arsenal and West Ham as well. Got 3 clean sheets in his last 7 games in the Premier League. West Ham and Lucas Fabianski. But John Stones has it here for Manchester City. Across to Rodri, halfway inside the West Ham half, just assessing his options. Again, West Ham have all 11 players currently behind the ball. So it'll be a patience play for Manchester City if they want to break down this West Ham side. When they met previously in the Premier League, it was back on the opening weekend of the season on the Sunday fixture, where Erling Haaland scored from the spot in the first half and from open play in the second half to get City a 2-0 victory at the London Stadium. That first goal of Haaland from the penalty spot did come in the 36th minute, currently 20 minutes away from that. In this game, Mahrez, one-on-one with Emerson, tries to play in behind Julian Alvarez, but not quite on the same page there. And the ball's been played out for a goal kick for West Ham. Usually better than that. Riyad Mahrez with his passing. A full-time Premier League winner. Riyad Mahrez, 3 of them for Manchester City, and of course that one heroic Premier League victory, title win with Leicester City, where he did stay another season after that, and then eventually joins Manchester City in the 2018. Inside the Manchester City half is Ruben Diaz, who in fact scored his first ever Manchester City goal against West Ham at the Etihad. It was in a 2-1 win back in February of 2021, so well over 2 years ago now, and Ruben Diaz has gone and scored 4 goals for Manchester City. Still inside the City half, just keeping possession here. The Blues with Nathan Ake. Of course, he's also played for a fair amount of Premier League clubs in his time. Likes of Watford, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Manchester City. Still here with Ruben Diaz. Really frustrating Manchester City. No opportunities to break through this West Ham defence currently, as they're on the edge of the 18-yard box with Ruben Diaz. Goes back to Stefan Ortega, who did suffer relegation last season with Arminia Bielefeld. But he did make a superb amount of saves as City now look to attack. Grealish, Bernardo Silva on the left-hand side, tries the pull back, blocked by Flynn Downs, and can be dealt with by Coufal. Not very convincing, and as far as a Manchester City throw-in, deep inside the West Ham half. Grealish forces it back to Ake. Now Rodri across to Kyle Walker, just 15 yards ahead of the halfway line, and he drives forward with the ball. He's got support of Alvarez, and he'll play it to the Argentine. It's now with Mahrez, who's slightly deeper on the right-hand side, and he goes across to Ruben Diaz. Diaz tries to play it through towards Stones. Paqueta's heavy touch allows City to regain possession through Rodri. Ake, Bernardo Silva again finds himself on the left-hand side and finds himself crossing the ball towards Haaland. Header won by Ogbonna, only as far as Jack Grealish on that left-hand side, one-on-one with Soufal. Lays it behind him to Bernardo Silva, shifts it onto his left foot towards the byline, clips a cross in towards Haaland. Header won by Cresswell towards the edge of the box where it's fell to Kyle Walker. Back it goes to Diaz as City look to attack again. Unfortunately, has to go back to Ortega in the City goal. There he is, Ruben Diaz. West Ham have only won 3 games away from home this season. Coming to Aston Villa in August, and then 2 away wins in the month of April against Fulham, 1-0, and Bournemouth 4-0, which is a big win for the Hammers. Bournemouth are currently impressing everyone by looking like they're going to be defying the odds and staying up this season under Gary O'Neill. And in those 16 away games, they've also lost 9, conceding 24 in those 16. Here's Grealish, moving himself away from Soufal through the legs of Paqueta and finds Alvarez. Heavy touch and allows Cresswell to play it forward to Antonio, who will drive away from Rodri on the West Ham left-hand side. He's got no support up there and he's going to run out of pitch here on the left-hand side, and he has Mikel Antonio throwing for Manchester City, just so isolated up front there. Mikel Antonio. In his last 3 Premier League seasons, I mentioned this in the last commentary I did of West Ham when they played Arsenal and drew 2-2, but Antonio in the last 3 Premier League seasons has scored exactly 10 goals. He's currently halving that at the minute. He's on 5 for the season in the Premier League. He's got a decent record in all competitions. He's currently got 13, 5 coming in the Europa Conference League. Here is West Ham getting forward with Paqueta. Finds the ball out wide left to Emerson. Drills it inside to Fornals on the edge of the box. Spreads it wide right to Jared Bowen. Well, he's off to Flynn Downs, number 12 for West Ham. Going to try and build an attack here and a chance. Cresswell. City have got bodies back to defend this sequence of play from West Ham. Paqueta on the left-hand side, slightly deeper, looking to cut open the City defence, as he nearly had done there with a Jared Bowen run, but he couldn't quite find the former Hull man. And City can get forward as Ortega rolls it out to Nathan Ake. Tries to bring it forward, but he's forced backwards by the press of Fornals and eventually finds Rodri. Ball forward into Alvarez, just about enters the West Ham half. Not got much support himself, Alvarez there. Does find Mahrez. He's always looking for the forward pass, and he tries to find Haaland in behind, but the header from Angelo Ogbonna has only found John Stones, who's far up the pitch. Bernardo Silva, Grealish, cross goes in, looking towards John Stones. It's a vital header by Ogbonna. Corner kick for Manchester City. John Stones really using that midfield freedom to his advantage. Found himself in the box there, the number 5. And he nearly got on to the end of it if it wasn't for the Ogbonna header away. Mahrez stood over it. It's going to be a left-footed in-swinger from the Algerian wizard. Number 26. In it goes. It's a good ball. Ogbonna wins the header again. Going to go for a throw-in for Manchester City. 6 foot through Ogbonna. Constantly winning the headers. He's also scored at this ground, Ogbonna. Back in the 2017-2018 season. They lost 2-1 in that game, West Ham. David Silva, late winner for Manchester City. And that was the season where they achieved 100 points. First ever Premier League side to do such a feat. But if you could like and subscribe if you are new, that would be fantastic. Hopefully a goal comes soon. Still 0-0 between Liverpool and Fulham at Anfield in the other Premier League game tonight. City with controlled possession currently. John Stones, great ball forward to Alvarez. He turns and looks forward. He feeds it to Grealish on the left-hand side. Outside of the boot, cross towards Mahrez. In the back post, it's reached Haaland, and always asking a lot of himself to get that on target. He only just about got there at the far post. It was an inventive cross from Grealish with the outside of his boot. Mahrez came in from the far post looking to head it home. Went just over his head, and Haaland was able to get onto it, but it was a very tight angle. So even if he'd been able to keep the header down, he would have found it difficult to get it on target. And it's going to be a West Ham goal kick close for the Norwegian. Not really said much. Not said his name much, Erling Haaland, so far. He's played 30 Premier League games so far this season before tonight, scoring 34, scoring 4 hat-tricks, all coming at home. Scored against Crystal Palace at home in game week 4, Nottingham Forest in game week 5, Manchester United in game week 9, and then also one against Wolves back in game week 21. That was in mid-February. So he's not scored a hat-trick for a good 2.5 months, Erling Haaland. He'll be hungry to score more. We all know he's on 50 as well for the season in all competitions, Erling Haaland. 12 of them coming in the Champions League in 8 appearances. Remember, he scored 5 against RB Leipzig and got 2 across the 2 legs against Bayern Munich. Resolute defending so far from West Ham. We're 25 minutes in and City haven't had many clear-cut chances, really. They've had half chances where Fabianski's been forced into some goalkeeping, but nothing that you wouldn't expect him to not save or to not deal with to the best of his abilities. It's been worked to Grealish again. Completely new player this season. He tries a 1-2 with Ake, but it's been cut out by Flynn Downs, and he clears long up the field, but no one's there to aim for. So City can start to get in their own half with Stefan Ortega recycling the ball forward, getting it to Ruben Diaz as City look to attack again through Rodri. He's going to go to the left to Nathan Ake, who gets forward from left centre-back. He's got a crossing opportunity, and he will use that opportunity to look for Haaland. Again, another header won by Ogbonna. Only as far as John Stones, who gets out to Kyle Walker on the right, everything to his left. Just goes behind him to John Stones. Drives forward with the ball, clips it out to the left. Perfect ball for Nathan Ake to bring down and play it back to Rodri, avoiding the tackle from Jared Bowen. Now Diaz just about 15-20 yards ahead of the halfway line. He's the last man back for City, and he gets it across to Rodri. Plays it to his right to John Stones, on 35 yards away from goal. Rodri now out to Grealish on the left. Closed down by Soufal, but he works it to Bernardo Silva, who finds the cross towards the far post. Header won by Emerson. And it's well tackled there by Antonio to keep it away from Walker. Antonio holds it up and he finds Soufal. Tries to go out wide to Bowen, but it's a short ball and it's re-won by Rodri. Played inside to Stones. Clipped out towards Bernardo Silva. He's going to challenge Soufal for it. Clips him in the head. Free kick for West Ham. I think he definitely played for that, Soufal. I don't think there was much contact in the end. But he wins the free kick for his side to relieve some pressure. He's making his 100th appearance tonight for West Ham. Soufal. Nathan Ake wins the header on Antonio. Helped forward by Soufal once again for West Ham. Overhead kick forward by Paqueta. Gives something for Bowen to chase. He's giving Diaz the run around a little bit, but the Portuguese international comes out on top. Superb defending from the former Benfica man there, Ruben Diaz. Bowen looked like he was sniffing there. Jack Grealish has to play it back to Ortega as he's found himself all the way back in his own box, dribbling the ball out. And the Ortega pass out towards Diaz on the left is just a bit too heavy, and it's a throw for West Ham in the City half. Also I found out as well, if the Premier League title does go to the last day where they played Brentford away, Manchester City, if they were to win the league on the last day of the season this year, long throw in, finds Bowen in behind, in the box, good save from Ortega. Bowen should have pulled it back. He was on an incredibly tight angle, so when he poked the ball towards goal, it could only hit Ortega. He would never get it in there. Angle too tight. He should have pulled it back, but the long throw in behind the City defence there worked way too easily. And that's a big chance for Bowen. Not the shot he had on goal, but the chance to pull it back. Poor decision from Bowen. City survive, and they look to get forward themselves. They've got the brick wall of the West Ham defence to try and get beyond while they've got the possession. But yeah, if they win the league title in the last 8, it'd be Manchester City's 1000th game in the Premier League in the history of the club. They're currently playing their 995th game, apologies. And Grealish wants to score in it. On the left, shoots it in the near post. I think it's a pivotal save from Fabianski. It is. Good save at the near post. You're usually told to go across goal. I think he's given a goal kick. John Stones got it. He played it across nicely to Jack Grealish. He fancied himself against Soufal, got onto his right foot, shot towards the near post. Here's the angle to see if it came off Fabianski or not. Oh, it did. I'm pretty sure it came off his fingers. That should have been a corner. But just back to that throw-in. Soufal, longer throw-in, in behind Ake. Too easy. Like I said, Bowen's looked to get the ball towards the goal and it's been blocked comfortably by Stefan Ortega. But that's West Ham's first real chance at goal and should have really done better with it. As we're half an hour in, it's still 0-0. They're playing well, West Ham, defending strongly, limiting City to very half chances. Grealish forward to Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box. Workspace away from Soufal and gets the cross in. Header won by Emerson towards the far post. Kept in City possession with a header from Rodri. It's now Mahrez back to goal, being chased down by Emerson. He's able to release it to the left to Rodri. He finds Stones making a run. He heads it across. It's a good header that from Stones. If Mahrez is more alert, he could have got on that, but it was dealt with in the end by Angelo Ogbonna. Mahrez with the throw. Throws it into John Stones. Gets the return. Now finds Alvarez, who goes back to Ruben Diaz. City have scored 54 home league goals this season. 30 away from home, as they've scored 84 for the season. They scored 99 in the whole last season in the Premier League. And that was without Haaland, who feeds it to Rodri off the post and across and away for a goal kick. Fabianski didn't get a touch onto it. Great link-up play there from Erling Haaland and Rodri. As he ran forward with it, got into the Norwegian, not closed down quick enough and was able to feed Rodri again, who'd continued his run. And just inside the box, he was able to curl a right-footed shot towards that far post. Fabianski didn't get a touch to it. And as it hit the inside of the post, it just trickled across goal and behind for a goal kick with the backspin on the ball. And that's the first real big chance of the game. That Fabianski was beaten there. As Stones deals with his defensive work well. City have it with Diaz. Across to the left to Ake. Just on the edge of the 18-yard box. Goes into the 18-yard box where Ruben Diaz is. And here's Kyle Walker. 1 goal in the Premier League against West Ham. That came in his Tottenham days. He has got full 90-minute appearances in his last 3 in the Premier League, Kyle Walker. So he's starting to put his foot back in the team for Manchester City. But he did only make a last late-minute substitute appearance against Bayern Munich in the second leg, so it wasn't preferred to Akanji in those games. Grealish plays it inside to Alvarez, about 30 yards away from goal. Plays it across to John Stones. Bought from Everton for £47.5 million. Has 2 goals of his own. And they both came, pretty sure, in April. Both in home games. To Leicester, which he scored a beauty from outside the box. And then against Arsenal just before half-time to make it 2-0 in that one. Still 0-0 for this one. It's not been vintage Manchester City. Definitely missing a spark, a creative spark, almost like they are missing a certain Kevin De Bruyne. On the halfway line is Ruben Diaz. Again, every West Ham player is in front of him. They're all defending deeply. And it's worked so far, 34 minutes in. Rodri found himself on the left-hand side here, laying it off to Jack Grealish in the final third. Works onto his right foot. He's playing with Soufal as he plays it across to John Stones, who gets it through the gap towards Rodri. It's a vital poke out from Thilo Kehrer, and he concedes the corner, but that is important from the man they signed from PSG in the summer. Great ball through from John Stones. He's onside Rodri. Great find. And as he was about to knock it across goal for Haaland, Kehrer just got a vital touch away. Mahrez. It's going to be an outswinger this time from the Algerian. He clips it towards the far post where Rodri heads it in. 4 stones wide of the post. Like I just mentioned before, he's got a good goal scoring record at the minute at home, Stones. But that one, firstly, didn't generate the power, and secondly, wasn't even on target anyway. And even if it was, it would have been a comfortable save for Fabianski. Just didn't quite get the correct direction on the ball there, John Stones. Who does have a contract at City for another 3 years, as he drags down Fornals, but the free kick goes against Fornals. On John Stones, there must have been contact previously before John Stones pulled down Fornals. Thanks to everyone who is here. If you could like and subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be fantastic. Great to see a decent amount of people in here tonight. The other Premier League game, Liverpool-Fulham, still 0-0. At Anfield. City just have possession in their own half. Do currently have 8 Premier League wins in a row. Manchester City, they've only lost once since they were defeated in the Manchester Derby earlier on this year, and that came away to Tottenham. As Grealish wins a free kick on the left-hand side there, just knocked over there by Vladimir Soufal. But we know when it hits April and May, Manchester City usually turn it on because they know that's when points are more vital than ever. You know, their last loss came to Spurs away from home early February, 19 games ago. By this time in their last game, Alvarez had just scored against Fulham to make it 2-1 from this free kick. That's perfect for a crossing opportunity. They could make it 1-0. Mahrez left foot deflected in. It falls near to John Stones, but it just bounces off his leg and it's cleared in the end, I think, by Antonio. And City want to try and get it back in the box if they can. Bernardo Silva clips it in the box looking for Diaz. Loses out to Soufal. Falls to Paqueta. Can't get away from Alvarez. And he wins it off Jared Bowen. And he plays it through to Grealish. Pulls it back and he slips and it's easily dealt with by West Ham. But it's going to come straight back at them with Stones across to Diaz. Once more to his Portuguese teammate and companion Bernardo Silva. That's now Riyad Mahrez fancying his chances one-on-one with Cresswell. Cuts in onto his left foot. Plays it forward towards Bernardo Silva. Brought to the ground by Ogbonna, but fairly won back by the Italian. And West Ham look to break with Fornals, but he runs out of pitch on the left-hand side. And that's going to be a throw-in for Manchester City. Bernardo Silva's asking for the penalty, but no way on earth it's given as a penalty. Ogbonna got the ball. Ogbonna, who was signed from Juventus for £10 million back in 2015, did sit on the bench in that Champions League final that Juventus played against Barcelona, where they lost 3-1. Bags of experience, the 34-year-old. Nearing half-time, 38th minute. Manchester City 0, West Ham 0. Ake forward to Bernardo Silva on his favoured left side, so he can play on his stronger left foot. Finds Grealish. Ball inside to Bernardo Silva. Pulls it back. Well intercepted again by Paqueta. Need away by Kehrer. As far as Bernardo Silva once again. He tries to work across. Won by Jared Bowen in a free kick. Won by Jared Bowen. As he got the ball off Bernardo Silva, he tried to regain it through pulling back Bowen. And the referee, John Brooks, saw it as a foul. City have scored 4 or more goals in 10 previous occasions in the Premier League this season. Might not happen this time for an 11th time. Salah has scored for Liverpool from the penalty spot. So Liverpool have the lead as they edge closer towards Manchester United for that 4th spot. Currently 4 points off Manchester United. But United would have 2 games in hand on Liverpool. Well, they do have 2 games in hand on Liverpool. City back in possession. David Moyes will be very happy with this first half performance so far, with a slimmed down squad for tonight's game after his squad being hit with illness today. The likes of Declan Rice missing, Thomas Souček already had injuries to the likes of Naif Agard and Kurt Zouma and Gianluca Scamacca. Like I say, for Scamacca, he hasn't played any Premier League minutes since Wolves away, and that was in a 1-0 loss back in mid-January. Shows how much football he's missed. His last minutes in any competition was in the Conference League in the last 16-second leg against Larnaca, back in mid-March. Paqueta has it on the far left for West Ham. He's surrounded by Mahrez and Alvarez, but he gets away from both of them. And he wins the free kick as he was pulled back on the halfway line, just outside the 2 technical areas. I mentioned before, last time David Moyes won against Manchester City in the Premier League was in March of 2013. And that's in fact the last time David Moyes won a Manager of the Month trophy in the Premier League. Clip forward to Antonio on the edge of the box, helps on towards Bowen. Ake heads away only as far as Fornals on the edge of the box. He takes on a volley. But that's wild and well over the bar for a City goal kick. It's clipped in. Won the header against Diaz there, Antonio. Ake was able to deal with it only until Fornals blazed it over the crossbar. Walker looking for Haaland, can't find the Norwegian. Falls to Kjære in the West Ham half. Falls back by Soufal to Fabianski. Lumps it forward beyond the halfway line towards Antonio. Beats Stones to it, but only as far as Diaz. Stones back to Walker in the Manchester City half. 2.5 minutes away from half time. It's now with the German international Stefan Ortega. Bernardo Silva. Ball forward to Jack Grealish. Looks to try and split the West Ham defence, but no real dangerous runs were being made where he could find them. Alvarez made a late run, but was never going to get there. It fell into the hands of Lucas Fabianski instead. Don't think many City fans will be worrying, but there'll still be a slightly... I don't know what the word is, just... tiny little bit on edge, because West Ham have showed that they can defend very well, but can they defend till half time? Because Alvarez gets the ball forward to Erling Haaland, lays it off to Grealish on the left, tries to find the return. Haaland's foiled to the ground, but it falls back to Grealish, pulled back from Bernardo Silva towards Alvarez. Diving header from Ogbonna sends it away, and Grealish clips Bowen, and a free kick for West Ham. Again, another attack dealt with by the Hammers. Haaland got it from Alvarez. He again found Grealish. And he was just pulled back there and pulled down by Flynn Downs, but the referee didn't see anything wrong with it. And no foul was given against the West Ham midfielder. Fabianski will take the free kick. Sends it forward. All as far as Rodri. Just about gets it back to Stefan Ortega, who's been closed down by Fornals. Plays it to Kyle Walker in the right back area. Finds John Stones. Can't get away from Lucas Paqueta. Wins the ball back superbly. Then a miscommunication between Cresswell and Paqueta means Mahrez now has it. And a throw in for Manchester City as Mahrez is tackled strongly. Yet to score in the Premier League for Manchester City, Mahrez against West Ham. He's tried 8 times. Did get 3 assists in a 5-0 win back in the 2019-2020 season. That was the opening weekend as well. Diaz has it on halfway. To his left is Rodri. Once more to his left is Nathan Ake. He then plays it forward to Bernardo Silva. Charging down towards the West Ham goal. Lays it off to Grealish. He's looking for a ball inside. Released it to Rodri. First time layoff to Ake. Stones. Diaz. He's got Walker to his right. Goes for a ball in the box towards Haaland instead. Over his head. And it will drop to Bernardo Silva. 1 minute of additional time. Ake. Edge of the box. Crosses it. Another header won by Chiera. It will fall to Ruben Diaz. Walker. Forced back to Stefan Ortega. Good defending again from West Ham. It's been resolute. And it's caused City frustration. .20 seconds to go. Rodri, ball forward to Mahrez. Tries to take over Rodri, but loses out. But then they win it back through Mahrez, who dispossesses Mikel Antonio, who's frustrated with himself. Stones. Out to Grealish. Drives inside. Plays it inside. Haaland lays it off to Alvarez. Tries to poke it towards a Man City player, but it doesn't. And it falls to Fornals, who can hold the ball up. And that will be that for the first half. Frustrating for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. A very strong defensive performance from West Ham has meant this game is currently still at 0-0. A half that lacks big incidents and big chances. To be completely honest, we got 2 early shots from Manchester City through Mahrez and Alvarez in the first 10 minutes, which were easily saved by Lucas Fabianski. We then got a ball in behind the City defence through Jared Bowen after he got on the end of a foul throw-in, but that was easily dealt with by Stefan Ortega. The first real half chance came to Erling Haaland 25 minutes in, where he headed over the bar from a Jack Grealish cross towards Mahrez. It missed him, and then it found Haaland, who headed over. And then 5 minutes after that, another big save from Fabianski. It wasn't even given as a save, it was given as a goal kick. When he did get a slight touch to it with his fingers, he saved a shot from Jack Grealish at the near post. Other than that, chances have been far and few in between, really. City have had 8 shots, only the 2 on target, but the shots have either been comfortably saved from Fabianski, or they've gone wide or over the crossbar. 3 for West Ham, the 1 on target. But I think the main stat, 81% possession for Manchester City. West Ham have been more than happy for Manchester City to have the ball, but it's all good having the ball, but when you don't do much with it, it causes frustration. So despite having all the shots and all the possession, only 2 half chances have come from it for City in the first half, as we are at half time, and it is West Ham holding Manchester City at 0-0 currently at the minute. Yeah, frustrating for City. West Ham are really doing Arsenal a favour at the minute, and if we do remind ourselves of the league table, this draw for City would put them a point behind Arsenal, who are on 78. City would go on to 77. They'd be a point behind Arsenal, but they would have a game in hand where they could then go 2 points above them. But if they do win, that would put them a point above Arsenal on 79 with a game in hand. So it's vital and important that Manchester City do win this game. They have got Leeds at home coming up, who are going to be under the management of Sam Allardyce. Then after that, they've got Real Madrid, first leg away at the Bernabeu, and then they've got Everton away, who are fighting for their lives. And at this point of the season, the Premier League, when we've got a relegation battle like we do, there's no easy game. This isn't an easy game. Leeds might be an easy game because they are leaking goals for fun, and I don't think Sam Allardyce will come in and change that straight away, especially against a team like Manchester City. But Everton, they've got coming up, that's so difficult for Manchester City. They've still got to play Chelsea at home, Brighton away. They've got to play Brentford on the last day away from home as well. So difficult fixtures coming up for Manchester City, but you probably fancy them to win the league from now until the end of the season with the games they've got and the games Arsenal have got. They've got to face the likes of Newcastle away. They've got to play Brighton at home as well, before playing Wolves at home on the last day as well. Arsenal, so tough fixtures for both, but you probably... Are we back yet? I think we're back. Are we back? I think we're back. We are back. Hello, we're back. Sorry, the internet went. It literally unplugged by itself. Hopefully that doesn't happen in the second half, and I've gone on and lost some viewers, but hopefully they come back for the second half. Apologies about that. If it disconnects or anything, please let me know. Yeah, slightly frustrating, but you know, it happens. If it is buffering or anything, letting me know would be fantastic. So apologies about that. My internet's never been very reliable, and it's showing that again. But we're going to be back for the second half, so that's the main thing. I'm glad it happened then and not during the game. That would have stressed me out a little bit, but we were able to deal with that. Minor inconvenience before the start of the second half, just to wake me up. Do you know what I mean? But I think people are coming back now, so thank you for that. And as well, I want to mention, you might have saw if you were here at the start of the stream, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and before streams for this month, and I'll probably do it for other streams as well, not just during May. We have this on display to let people know it is Mental Health Awareness Month. I know you can't see me, but you can still hear me, and just got 3 stats on the screen. I'll probably try and change them every 2 or 3 streams, because obviously different people, new people will be coming who may have not seen these ones. But all these are based on England. I know YouTube and my channel, not bragging, but people watch from worldwide. It's not just an England thing. But these are stats from England. Very important that people speak about their problems, and if you're going to do it, you know, May's a great time because it is at the forefront of people's minds. It's spoken about more. It should be spoken about all the time, but you know, it's been given a month, and the month is May. But yeah, these stats that you all see are true. It's a real issue globally, worldwide, and especially as well, I see it more obviously in England. But just taking the stats, read them, understand them, and if you need help, I'm pretty sure in the description there's a link. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Mental Health Matters charity. It's the NHS link down below if you need any help and support. If you go and click that link in the description, it goes to the NHS where you can get any help and support that you need. But this will be displayed as well at the end of the stream. But have a quick read of the stats, you know, understand how important it is to speak, and that it is, you know, all around us, mental health issues. Even if you don't see it in a person, you don't know what's going on inside their minds. So yeah, that's for this month's every stream for this month that will be displayed, and after May I will make a new thing to display that that shows awareness for mental health, not just in May, but I'll be doing it now throughout every stream. But just because it's May, we'll get that made, and people can, you know, feel like there is people there for them, because it can be lonely, it can be hard from personal experience currently. But what I'm doing is I'm getting help, I'm talking to people, and it is difficult, and I'm not saying it's easy, but once you make that big step, it massively helps. So yeah, if you are struggling, there's a link in the description, and yeah, you're definitely 100% not on your own. But moving on from that, we have football in the second half to look forward to. Still 0-0 between Manchester City and West Ham. And I'd be interested to see if any changes are made from the West Ham side or the City side, because West Ham seem very comfortable, so I doubt they'd make changes at half time. And I think the only reason they'd make changes in the game is if tiredness comes in, because they do look very sound and they look like a lot of continuity in the team. It seems like they've played together a while, which isn't true, because I don't think Flynn Downs and Paqueta have played in the midfield too together before, but they look pretty happy together, because Rice had played all minutes in the Premier League before tonight, before falling to illness. Declan Rice did make his 200th Premier League appearance at the weekend to Crystal Palace, yet to win against Manchester City in the Premier League. Declan Rice is going to have to wait a bit longer. He's played City in the Premier League 11 times and he's lost 9 times. And only once before, Rice has played 38 games in a season in the Premier League, played all the games, and that was in the 2019-2020 season. He was on for that this season until, obviously, illness struck him down. But they're doing okay without their captain at the minute, West Ham. Flynn Downs is doing okay, signed from Swansea in the summer. Played in all 4 top English leagues. Flynn Downs played in League 2 for Luton and got them promoted in the 2017-2018 season. He's then played in League 1 for Ipswich from 2019 to 2021. And then he also played in the Championship for Ipswich when they were back in that, when they were in the league, in the Championship. They're now back under Kieran McKenna. And he also played in the Championship, of course, for Swansea as well last season, where he only was able to bag the 1 goal in the league. But second half is minutes away, as Pep Guardiola will be talking to his team at the minute of how to break down this West Ham side, because it is currently something they are finding difficult. No real big opportunities for City, I don't think. A couple saves being made by Fabianski, or being forced upon him. Sorry about that. And also, I mentioned before, Erling Haaland is looking to break the record for most Premier League goals in one season. He's currently broke Mohamed Salah's 32. That he broke in terms of a 38-game season. But in terms of, because previously in the Premier League there were used to be 22 teams, so players would play, they could play up to 42 games, and that's what I don't think. Shearer and Cole are on 34, and I don't think either of them actually played 42 games. I do think they played 40. I don't think they. But either way, if he scores, it'll be his 35th, and he'll be the outright top goal scorer in a Premier League season. That's the main thing. But he's not looked like scoring yet. He's not really had a big chance, Erling Haaland. He had that header at the back post, but the angle was so tight and very, very difficult to guide in, to try and guide home. Still waiting for the resumption of this game. Should be coming up pretty soon, I would believe, as the West Ham players start to emerge from the tunnel at Manchester City. Looking at the penalty given, it was Issa Diop fouling Darwin Núñez. It didn't seem like there was much contact in that, but the penalty was given. And Mohamed Salah converted. As City are also out for the second half. Don't think there's been any changes as of yet that I've seen. If there is any changes, I will let you know soon as. I think Pep Guardiola has kept it the same. If there is any disconnection issues, please let me know, because I can try and sort them. If there's any buffering or anything of the kind, letting me know would be nice. What on earth was that? As we are underway for the second half, City kicked off, kicking right to left, West Ham left to right. I don't know what that was, but that did not say. That didn't sound very good. The house is falling apart. That scared me slightly, I must admit. But we're back underway for the second half. It will probably be an onslaught from City for the second half because they need the win. They want to put some breathing space between themselves and Arsenal. So close to the end of the season. No changes for either side as well, from the looks of it. Rodri. Forward to Stones, out to Kyle Walker on the right. Finds Mahrez. Ball in behind, looking for Alvarez towards the byline, overhit. And a goal kick for Fabianski, just over a minute into the second half. And City have already started on the front foot. But if there is any lagging or disconnection issues, just let me know. And I will try and sort them. Thank you. But this could be a big 45 minutes for Manchester City, because if they drop points here, that's a big confidence booster for Arsenal. You know, City, like I said before, currently 8 Premier League wins in a row. And they've won 14 of their 16 Premier League games at home, Manchester City. Got a great record. Emerson. As West Ham are getting forward here. Lays off to Cresswell. Tackled by Kyle Walker. Throw in for West Ham towards the corner flag on the left-hand side. Emerson stood with the ball in his hands. Emerson as well was on the bench for Chelsea in the Champions League final, where they were triumphant against Manchester City. He didn't come on or play any minutes, but he was on the bench. Emerson, as he throws it into Paqueta, loses out to Mahrez in the corner flag. But Paqueta wins the throw-in. Mahrez run out of room. And Mikel Antonio looks like he's winding up for a long throw-in here. In it goes. Flicked on by Emerson. Dealt with by Rodri in the box. Cleared down the City right-hand side. Recollected by Cresswell. 1-2 with Paqueta. Forward. Intercepted by Rodri. Alvarez finds Haaland, who can burst away. Counter-attack on for City. West Ham have already got a lot of bodies back as he lays it off to Jack Grealish, who's found himself on the left-hand side. And he's caught late there by Flynn Downs. Yellow card for the midfielder. Tried to get the ball, but just caught Grealish late there as the counter-attack was on for Manchester City. Yeah, moved the ball away from him and took out the former Villa man. Only his 5th start in the Premier League this season, Flynn Downs, and he's picked up his 2nd booking. His last start came in February against Tottenham in a 2-0 loss. That's the last start in the Premier League. Alvarez, he stood over it, and Mahrez. Be a curling cross from Mahrez towards Nathan Ake, and the deadlock's broken at the Etihad Stadium. He returns from injury with a goal. He's not known for his goal scoring, but he's scored his first in a big, big game for Manchester City. It's his 3rd in all competitions. It's his 1st in the Premier League this season. Unmarked at the back post, and City have their goal. After being so good defensively for the first 45 minutes, West Ham have seriously switched off there. And Ake, with his aerial threat, scores for the Blues. Beyond Fabianski, who's slow to get down to it. As we are hitting the 50th minute, City are hitting the top of the table. Manchester City 1, West Ham 0, and it's Ake the goal scorer. It's only by a point, but they're back on top of the table. Back on top they go. 13 better goal difference, 1 point better off, and a game in hand. It's definitely City's title to lose. Alvarez gets the ball fed to him by Ruben Diaz. Keeps the ball away from the West Ham defence and gets it to Rodri, who then goes wide right to John Stones. Now feeds it to Riyad Mahrez. Task looks a lot more difficult now for the Hammers and David Moyes. Grealish, who won the free kick, which was converted by Ake after a Mahrez cross, has the ball. Ake, the goal scorer. Not the first time he scored against West Ham in the Premier League. Did score in a 3-3 draw when he was at Bournemouth against West Ham around 5 years ago. It's an important one. It's a great time to score his first of the season in the league. He got 2 last year in 14 Premier League appearances. That's all he got last season in the Premier League. He played 14 times. He scored twice, home and away against Leeds. Bernardo Silva finds Grealish, one-on-one with Soufal. Drives inside, on the edge of the box. Grealish still has it, shoots, and it's blocked by Ogbonna. And it's going to fall out to the City right-hand side to Riyad Mahrez. He's now one-on-one with Emerson, onto his left foot. Plays it to the edge of the box to Nathan Ake, who lets it run across his body. And he plays it to Bernardo Silva. Then goes back to Ake. All of this coming in the West Ham half. City want to get a second as quickly as possible. Rodri dinks it out to Bernardo Silva. He's the furthest left for City. Plays it inside to Alvarez. Touch towards the byline and he can't keep it in. Runs out of room there. Pressured from Tilo Kehrer. But City look like they might go on and score a couple more here. Now the deadlock's broken. Paqueta in the West Ham half goes to Cresswell, who's playing on the left of a back three. Fornals loses it, trying to complete a 1-2 with Emerson. It's now with Haaland. Across to Grealish. A 1-2, back to Haaland. Can he get his shot away? The angle's closed down by Fabianski. Tries to poke it inside the box, but it's been cleared by West Ham. Only as far as Jack Grealish, who drags his shot wide, and he is very disappointed with himself. He knows he can do a lot better than that. Grealish got the ball back towards Haaland. Fabianski come out and close the angle down, meaning Haaland couldn't get the shot away, and in the end it was cleared. Only as far as Grealish, who had a very pathetic shot, really. He knows he can do a lot better than that. And West Ham try and get forward themselves on the halfway line with a throw-in. Won by Emerson. Emerson pokes it down the line for Antonio. Clips the ball in the box towards Bowen over his head and easily collected by Stefan Ortega, who's got a great record this season for City with clean sheets. Previously before this, first Premier League appearance as well for him. It's been Edison throughout the whole season until tonight. But in the cup competitions he's played in 10. And he's only conceded 5 goals. And in the games he hasn't conceded, he's kept 7 clean sheets. Very impressive from the German, who's now at the age of 30. Turning 31 this year. Ake at left centre-back towards the 18-yard box. He drives away from the 18-yard box, but then goes back and across to Ruben Diaz as he keeps possession for Manchester City. It's now in West Ham possession in their own half with Chiera. Lifts it into no man's land and Rodri heads it forward to Alvarez. 1-2 with Mahrez. Keeps it just about. Alvarez, about 30 yards away from goal, plays it across to Bernardo Silva. Now out wide left to Grealish. Lays off to Ake, the goal scorer. Now with Grealish again. Wanting to work space for a cross, but then again to Ake. Now with Rodri, we know he can hit them, but instead he clips it towards Walker at the far post, heads it inside, looking for Haaland. Header away by Agbona, only as far as a Manchester City throw-in. Rodri. It's now with Ake. Grealish. Has to give it back to Ake, and just off the ball area, I think he's just telling Alvarez what runs to make, so it's easier for Grealish to find him. No argumentative shouting, just I think constructive more than anything from Grealish there. City do need to get a second if they want to win this game, I feel, just because you never know with West Ham. They could easily spring a surprise counter-attack. You know, it's easy from set pieces to maybe get a shock goal. We've seen it plenty of times before. As Cresswell in the 18-yard box clears, the City were just getting closer and closer there, but Antonio holds up nicely. Paqueta now has it. Getting it to Antonio, I think, just straight offside. Flag stayed down currently as Antonio drives inside from the left-hand side. I don't think the flag went up from the linesman. I'm pretty sure Antonio had just strayed offside, but the City clearance has been picked up by Ogbonna, so it's City to do some defensive work now as West Ham are on the ball. Chiera at the back for West Ham. 57 minutes played, still 1-0 Manchester City. Goal from Nathan Ake in the 50th minute is what separates the two sides as Grealish picks up in the centre of the pitch. Haaland brought down fairly, says the referee. Corner kick. No real asking for the penalty from Haaland as Tilo Chiera made the slide challenge. As Grealish picked it up, like I said, in the centre, not on the left-hand side. He found himself in the centre of the field. Played it through to Haaland, who'd peeled to the left-hand side. Big tackle there from Chiera. Does go through Haaland, but the Norwegian doesn't really ask for it, so it's hard to make a case. He does, I think, just get the ball first. But I think if Haaland asks for it, I think there's more of a case for Manchester City. VAR are checking it. They're happy with the decision made. Outswinger from Mahrez again. It's a clip ball towards the far post. Ake wins another header. In towards Stones. He's bundled to the ground. No penalty again given. West Ham can't clear for the minute as Paqueta tries to dribble it away. And it does fall to Antonio on the left eventually. Can't get away from Alvarez, but the block does fall to Downs, who goes down the line to Antonio. Again, has to hold it up and does get it away from Alvarez. And it's now with Downs as West Ham restart from the back with Cresswell. Playing it forward to Emerson. Ball found to Antonio once again on the left. Keeping it away from Rodri. Couldn't quite keep it away from the Spaniard as he pokes out for a throw-in for West Ham. Let's have a look at this penalty shout. Ake heads it towards Stones. He chests it down and it's a slight bit of contact from Ogbonna, but I don't think it's enough personally for a penalty. Still 1-0 in the other fixture as well, between Liverpool and Fulham, as Soufal's been sent away on the right-hand side here in the final third. Clips it towards the far post and Walker's been forced to head it behind for a corner. That's what I mean. City need the second goal because it only takes a loss of possession for West Ham to jet forward on a counter-attack. 31 minutes to play. Corner for West Ham, still 1-0. Still in the game. It's going to be an in-swinger. They are crowding the goalkeeper here. West Ham United. In it goes towards the near post. Header won by Rodri. It'll fall back towards Emerson, who's got the support of Fornals, who took the corner with him. And he'll use the Spaniard. You can't quite get it back in the box because it's been closed down by Riyad Mahrez, but his block falls to Cresswell, who will then get it in the box towards Ogbonna at the far post, loses out to Ake. Bernardo Silva can help away towards the corner flag with a ball down the left-hand side, which will go out for a West Ham throw-in. Good header won there by Ake, who's only 5'11", compared to Ogbonna, who's 6'3". But Soufal for West Ham's gone down. I think he's holding his right hamstring, and a change is going to be made. Ben Johnson is going to be coming on. More injury woes for West Ham. They've already got Aguerd out. I think he's with an injury. Or it could be illness, but he has been injured recently, Aguerd. Struggling with injury. He struggled at the start of the season with injury, Aguerd, with his ankle. They've also got Zuma out at the back with an injury. Subbed off against Crystal Palace. And then obviously the illness of Declan Rice and Thomas Souček. But Ben Johnson hasn't started a Premier League game since Brighton, when they lost 4-0. He's not made a minute. He's not played a minute of Premier League football in the last 8 games, and that's due to the fact that he's been underperforming. West Ham haven't been happy, and West Ham supporters haven't been happy with Ben Johnson's performances. That's why he's not been playing. He's had the odd occasional performance in the Conference League, but yeah, not been very happy with his performances. So, for the first time in a good month or so, Ben Johnson is playing Premier League football, and he will just slot in at right wing back ahead of Soufal, who's had to come off with an injury, the Czech Republic international. We're back underway with Fornals, heading it inside to Emerson, signed in the summer from Chelsea. He's now back with Fornals. Finds Downs in the midfield for West Ham, completing a 1-2 with Lucas Paqueta, his midfield partner for tonight. All in the Manchester City half currently. Great swept ball into Fornals by Paqueta. Works it wide left to Emerson. Ball inside now to Paqueta, who joins the attack. Finds Antonio on the edge of the box. Finds it Paqueta in the box on the left. Trying to work across on the byline, but he finds a corner kick. Nice little bit of play here from West Ham in the last 3 or 4 minutes, as the away fans do seem to be enjoying themselves, possibly travelling down to Manchester knowing they might not win, but they could certainly still nick a draw. This isn't a given for a Manchester City win, despite them being ahead. Ball in towards a near post, had to be dealt with by Rodri. A second bite of the cherry for Fornals to put a good ball in, right-footed in swinger, towards the goalkeeper who can punch it away to the edge of the box where Mara's battling with Downs for it, and he wins the free kick. Well won there from Riyad Mahrez to relieve the pressure for the Manchester City. It was a good one-handed punch there from Ortega Moreno. Or Stefan Ortega. He's got Ortega Moreno on his back of his shirt in the full orange kit for Manchester City tonight. City bring it out from the back with Ruben Diaz. Thank you to everyone who is here. It does mean a lot getting, a decent amount of people in listening. If you're enjoying, please let me know. If you've got anything you would advise, or any criticism, any constructive criticisms, or anything you like about the streams, please let me know. Any feedback helps. As Haaland has it, City found himself in a right wing position, and his crossing isn't of the quality of a right winger. It was a tame one in the end, easily caught by Fabianski. Biggest margin of victory in this fixture was 6-0 back in 2014 in the League Cup semi-final first leg at the Etihad. Don't think we're going to be quite getting that many goals tonight, only the one so far. As the long ball towards Antonio has been lost by West Ham. It's now with Mahrez, back to Walker, forward towards Haaland, header won by Ogbonna, headed down to Cresswell, down the line to Emerson, on the halfway line through the legs of Rodri and fouled by the Spaniard. Free kick for West Ham. So it's been a bad last 5 minutes for West Ham, despite going 1-0 down. playing at the back with Kiera, West Ham. At the minute, they need to get it out if they can. Only 6 remain as well for West Ham in the side that started the first game of the season against Manchester City. That's starting. Fabianski started that one. Soufal started. Cresswell did. Bowen, Fornals and Antonio did. So, just under half of the side changed for this one at the Etihad. Only the one change so far in the game. That's come from West Ham and an injured Soufal, who was replaced by Ben Johnson. Rodri, closing in himself on his 200th Manchester City appearance. He's currently playing his 199th game for the club. Been at the club now for just under 4 years, Rodri. He's been unbelievable this season for Pep Guardiola. And he plays it across to Ake. West Ham defending deep. Out to Grealish. Got a different player to take on now, and that's Ben Johnson. He's just slowing it down, Grealish, and playing it back across to Rodri. He's around 40 yards away from goal. Brings Diaz into play. Forward to Alvarez. Lays it off first time to Rodri. Still in his normal position, just dictating the play as Grealish has just been clipped there by Ben Johnson. But I think it's a softer one. I don't think the referee's going to buy it. He has bought it. Free kick for Manchester City. I do think it was a free kick, but the contact just seemed a little bit minimal, so it's one of them where the ref might have let it go. But he didn't, and he's given City the free kick. No shots yet for West Ham, and that could change, because they're going to go for it a bit more, with Danny Ings about to come on for West Ham for the last 25 or so minutes, plus added on time. Alvarez is stood over it with a right-footed in-swinger, and he'll be the one who takes it, and it goes very deep, and a bit too deep, because it's out straight for a goal kick. Poor from Alvarez, not quite been on it as he was on Sunday against Fulham. Julian Alvarez, who does have the 8 Premier League goals, 3 in his last 5, coming against Liverpool, Southampton and Fulham. It is just a like-for-like change for West Ham. Antonio is being replaced by Danny Ings. And Danny Ings, who made his 200th Premier League appearance in his career 2 games ago when he played Liverpool, a club there where he was at for a few years, where he was plagued by injury. He did score 3 times in 14 appearances for Liverpool in the Premier League whilst he was there. Who scored the goal? Nathan Ake scored the goal in the 50th minute. It was a cross in the box from Riyad Mahrez, and Ake won the header at the far post from around 6 yards out. And that's currently how the teams are separated. Haaland loses out to Kiera in the air. Headed away by Downs. Brought down by Bowen, who's been fairly quiet tonight. Tries to look for the right wing-back of Ben Johnson, and he finds him. And Johnson tries to play it down the line for Ings, but he was offside, so they've had to ignore that move, and City are back in possession. Only 1 goal to the good. Great ball over the top by Kyle Walker to find John Stones in a lot of room in that midfield. Plays it inside to Riyad Mahrez, who latches onto the ball. Plays it across to Bernardo Silva. We're yet to see a City change. He's trusting the men that are out there at the minute. Pep Guardiola. Grealish in the final third. Edge of the box is Alvarez. Takes it on the turn. Forces the strike. And it's a save by Fabianski. Doesn't mind a strike from the edge of the box. Julian Alvarez. We've seen that in recent games. As he just curled that one around Angelo Ogbonna, who tried to block. But it was a comfortable save in the end for Fabianski. Here is the Polish international, kicking it long for West Ham. Up towards Danny Ings, header won on the halfway line by John Stones, only as far as Paqueta, who keeps it for West Ham with Emerson. Now Cresswell, Paqueta, Emerson. Nice bit of triangle play there from the West Ham side, and they're breaking through here with Emerson driving inwards to the centre of the pitch, laying it off to Flynn Downs. It's now with Paqueta. Works it wide left to Fornals, who brings it down superbly. Challenging ball to bring down there. It's now with Cresswell. Back to Fornals, who's slightly deeper for West Ham here. Paqueta, his first pass is blocked by Alvarez, but he gets it back from the Argentine. Good skill from Paqueta. He's got good footwork, and it's worked nicely here for West Ham. It's fell in the end to Cresswell on the far left-hand side. Paqueta, Cresswell. They just start it again and go back to Flynn Downs, who's there in support. Good press from Alvarez. Falls back to Ogbonna. And then force West Ham all the way back into their own half here. Good press from Manchester City. It's Paqueta. Does find Emerson down the left-hand side again. Has to go back into the Brazilian. Lucas Paqueta. Tries to find Danny Ings. He does find him, but Danny Ings' pass is wayward. And it's now Grealish. He feeds it through to Haaland. There's a question if he's offside or not. But that doesn't matter because the flag stays down. Record breaker once again. 35 for the season in the Premier League. No one scored more than that in a single Premier League season. He is one of a kind. He's on his own of just being the most deadly striker. Hints of an offside, possibly. I don't think he is. As West Ham give it away through Danny Ings, the substitute, and as Grealish, well onside, Erling Haaland, and with the most audacious little dink over Fabianski. Composure. I don't think that is even a strong enough word to describe Haaland in front of goal. Fabianski got the slightest of fingertips to it, but it was not enough to keep it out. Silky smooth from Erling Haaland. He breaks the record. 35 in a Premier League season. He's gone beyond Andy Cole and Alan Shearer into a league of his own. Andy Cole scored 34 in 40 games. Alan Shearer scored 34 in 42 games. Erling Haaland has scored 35 in 31 games. There's just no one quite like him. Manchester City 2, West Ham 0, and there are the 3 points for Manchester City. Mr. Record Breaker, Erling Haaland, gets his goal. He's been awfully quiet tonight. But as soon as he gets a sniff on at goal, the ball's in the back of the net. Good assist for Grealish as well, feeding Erling Haaland. That's Grealish's 11th assist in all competitions. City do in fact double their lead. It's poor the way the ball was given away by Danny Ings there. Just couldn't find a West Ham player. And Alvarez fed through the right-hand side here. One-on-one with Ogbonna. Back inside to Riyad Mahrez. Tries to go across Bernardo Silva. Cut out by Flynn Downs. He finds Emerson, but his touch is away from Emerson. But they do have it back here. With Paqueta getting away from John Stones in his own half, but losing it to Rodri. And City are going to go forward again. Grealish finding himself a lot more central than in the game previously. He's barged off the ball though by Flynn Downs, and Ben Johnson can bring it away for West Ham. Paqueta's still down on the West Ham left. That doesn't look great because he's been pretty good tonight. I know West Ham haven't won, but he's looked confident and skillful on the ball, Paqueta. Ben Johnson in behind for Danny Ings on the right-hand side. He's definitely on side, but no one's in the box. And City are going to keep going here with Mahrez because Paqueta's still down, but West Ham didn't kick the ball and they just had possession. I think Grealish is being directed to... Grealish was told to kick the ball out by Pep Guardiola so Lucas Paqueta could get some medical attention, despite West Ham not kicking the ball off themselves. He's just twisting and turning, and then he just ran into Rodri, and I don't think there's anything in that. I think he's fine, to be honest. I think Lucas Paqueta will be absolutely okay. I don't see how he would have injured himself there, to be honest. Erling Haaland. What a goal that is. A little dink. I don't know if Fabianski did get a touch, but if he did or didn't, there was only one place that was going, and that was in the back of the net. 51 for the season, all competitions, in his 45th appearance. In the 31 games he's now played in the Premier League, he's only failed to score in 9 of them as well. Just unbelievable, man. Absolutely no stopping him at all. course, Paqueta. He's back on his feet, and I think he'll be coming back on the pitch for the last 15 minutes. As City will be making a double change of their own. Akanji and Foden will be coming on. Back underway, Paqueta back on the pitch. 15 minutes to go, plus any added on time given by the referee. Ortega looking towards Bernardo Silva in the midfield. He has to battle for it, and he does lose that battle, but Rodri comes to help and takes it away from Jared Bowen as they look to set Haaland away and behind again. But it was intercepted by Tio Kehrer. Ball forward looking for Danny Ings, intercepted by Diaz in the City half. And now already got it forward to Bernardo Silva. Ooh, Grealish caught late there by Paqueta. Grealish wasn't happy at the beginning there, but Paqueta was quickly there to apologise. He knew he just caught him late, but it's not Paqueta's fault. Grealish is so quick with his feet, like Paqueta himself, to be fair. Got some skills himself, Lucas Paqueta. As the changes are going to be made now. First one is going to be Nathan Ake, returning from injury. He's missed the last few, like the FA Cup semi-final, and the last two in the league, but he's returned with a goal, his first of the season in the league, and he's going to be replaced by Manuel Akanji. And the second change will be Julian Alvarez being replaced by Phil Foden. Couldn't add to his goal-scoring form as of late, Alvarez, after his superb finish against Fulham at the weekend, and he'll be replaced by Phil Foden, who's just gradually being introduced back into the starting 11 for Manchester City. Does have the one goal previously against West Ham. Phil Foden. Back in the 2020-2021 season in the 1-1 draw at the London Stadium. Diaz goes to his left. To Akanji, who before tonight had played the full 90 minutes in 7 of his last 8 games. So I think it was just a matter of just giving him some rest for tonight. Manuel Akanji. Ortega across the Diaz on the edge of the 18-yard box. He will drive forward with it. Go to the left to Akanji. Forward to Bernardo Silva, who as always has been a workhorse in that midfield for Manchester City. Yet to score for Manchester City in the Premier League against West Ham, but he is closing in on 200 appearances in the Premier League. Bernardo Silva, this is 197 tonight. And in those 196 previous appearances, he has assisted and scored 33 times, so 66 goal involvements. And here he is again looking for another one, bursting down the left-hand side, away from Flynn Downs. And he plays it inside to John Stones. Back out to Grealish. He's going to run at the West Ham defence. He's going to try and cut in onto his right foot. He lays it off to the edge of the box to Phil Foden. He goes out to the right side to Mahrez, who's in the box. Lays it off. John Stones, and that's why he's a central defender. Edge of the box, off balance, falls over as he strikes, and the shot is wild and wide and high, and it's a goal kick for West Ham United, who will be making another change of their own. It's their third of the night, and it'll be Said Benrahma, who's going to be replacing Jared Bowen. He's had a very quiet night. Jared Bowen had great goal-scoring success last season against Manchester City, scored 2 goals, and that came in the 2-2 draw late on last season. The London Stadium. That was back in mid-May, where he scored twice to put West Ham 2-0 up. He scored in the 24th minute, in the 45th minute, but then a Grealish goal in the 49th and a Soufal own goal in the 69th meant City did nick a draw that day, which took them that point ahead of Liverpool to win the title. So he's replaced by Said Benrahma as Foden, the other substitute, is bursting forward, stopped in his tracks by Paqueta as he got to the 18-yard box. And West Ham are going to look to try and get a goal themselves through Said Benrahma, but he's been tackled by Ruben Diaz, and City look to try and get a third. But it's behind Grealish by Mahrez, and it's been found by Fornals. He tries to shoot and catch Ortega off his line, but he's dragged it along the ground, and a goal kick it'll be for Manchester City. Here's Rodri. Bernardo Silva to Grealish again, who's been working these full-backs hard all night with his constant run. He just plays it behind Bernardo Silva. That means West Ham can pick the ball up in their own half. With Johnson clipping it down on the right-hand side to substitute Ben Rama. Turns nicely. Surrounded by blue shirts, but does find the pass to Fornals, who's also surrounded by blue shirts, but is able to win the throw-in for his side. And it was Fornals on that far right-hand side. Been forced all the way back to their centre-back, Chiera, who switches it with his weaker left foot to Cresswell. Down the line. It's for Emerson. Back to Cresswell as West Ham just settle with possession. It's now back with Fabianski towards Johnson, who heads it inside towards Fornals. Header won by Kanji as far as Flynn Downs. And a free kick for West Ham, an offside somewhere within that passage of play. Thank you to everyone who is still here. Means a lot. Free kick sent forward by Fabianski. Header won by John Stones on Lucas Paqueta. And Cresswell has been forced all the way back to Fabianski as West Ham regain the ball. Ogbonna. Down the line it goes and out of play for a Manchester City throw-in. Seemed like a bit of a tired pass there from Angelo Ogbonna. Obviously involved in a crazy game in the last one. West Ham, 7 different goal scorers in the game. Ayew, Zaha, Schlupp, Eze, Souček, Antonio and Igerd. And it will be 3 losses in a row now for West Ham in the Premier League, where they had got 3 in their last 5 in all competitions before these 3 losses. It's on the edge of the 18-yard box. Here's Ruben Diaz. And Manchester City are going to keep up a fantastic record of winning their last 25 Premier League games they've played on a Wednesday. Their last loss came in December 2018 to Leicester, when that was on a Wednesday. I think that was Christmas time, I'm pretty sure, around the festive period of that year. So they've got a good record when they play on a Wednesday in the Premier League. And Manchester City have scored at least once in each of their last 30 Premier League games at home, scoring 100 goals in total, now 102 in 31 games. Since a 2-0 loss against Palace last season in October, where they were defeated 2-0. So, it's a bit of a fortress, the Etihad, for Manchester City. Looking to expand on that, making their stadium go up to 61,000, currently 53,400. Also planning to build on that as well. 300 million looks like it's going to be invested into the stadium and the surrounding areas of the stadium. So exciting times for Manchester City as they are still on for the treble. Haaland, edge of the box, has been found by Bernardo Silva. He gets the return, the Portuguese international, and plays it across goal. It's well intercepted by Chiera, and that'll be a corner for Manchester City. Good clearance by the German. Also, Manchester City's first game under Guardiola in the Premier League was a home win. 2-1 against Sunderland back on the 13th of August 2016. And David Moyes was the manager at the time of Sunderland. Didn't last too much longer. Has also managed the likes of Preston, Everton for 11 years. Had a stint at Manchester United, Real Sociedad, Sunderland, and now spells with West Ham. As Foden volleys, it's deflected and in. It's a wild deflection, but Phil Foden won't care as he knee slides in celebration. He's been making a slow return since his appendix surgery. And I'm just hoping that first original shot was on target so he gets credited the goal. Headed out by Paqueta from the corner. It was on target. It was probably going to be a save for Fabianski. But on the edge of the box, it took a wild deflection off Emerson. Wrong foot's Fabianski. And Phil Foden scores for Manchester City off the bench. It's 3-0 for the Blues. And that is more than anything that City needed. Because they're going back to the top of the table. They're improving their goal difference. And it looks like it'll be very hard for them to be caught now by Arsenal. It's Manchester City 3, West Ham United 0. And as well, for Pep Guardiola, that first goal for tonight through Nathan Ake was City's 650th goal in the Premier League under Pep Guardiola. As Rodri brings it away, they're looking for a fourth. He looks to try and get it through to Haaland, but it's a good interception again by Kjær. And Phil Foden has scored his 10th goal in the league this season, bettering his tally from last year. He was only able to score 9 last year, and now he's on his 10th for the season. So making improvements, Phil Foden. Johnson is West Ham. Enjoy some possession in the Manchester City half as we've only got 3 minutes left to play. Fornals finds Danny Ings on the edge of the box. He's been forced to look for other options, more negative ones, as John Stones closes him down. Eventually finds itself back to Lucas Paqueta. To the left-hand side to Emerson. Paqueta looking for a ball around the corner, but pretty much every West Ham player was flat-footed and the ball trickles through to Stefan Ortega, who looks like he'll be picking up his 8th clean sheet in 11 Manchester City appearances. It's his first in the Premier League tonight. It's been solid when called upon, the German international. Kanji on the ball, the Swiss international. Looks for the switch towards Mahrez. Can't quite find the Algerian. It's now Emerson on the halfway line for West Ham. Down the line to Benrahma. He's going to be pressured here by John Stones. Gets the ball inside to Paqueta in the box on his stronger left foot. Shot saved by Ortega. It's been parried. Fornals. Shot blocked and cleared. And City surviving, luckily. Because that parry from Ortega, I just said he'd been solid when called upon. That wasn't a very solid save. Parried it, but the Fornals shot was able to be blocked and City could clear to keep a hold of that clean sheet. As just at the bottom of the screen there, it looks like Calvin Phillips will be making a very short cameo, as he always does. Get to start in the Premier League for Manchester City. 7th Premier League appearance in 2023. Obviously suffered injury in 2022 at the start of the season. Was just about able to make the World Cup squad, but still not quite worked out for him at Manchester City. Fornals goes for the cross, caught by Ortega. See it again, Benrahma, great ball to Paqueta, who shot. Wasn't even really a one that should be stinging the gloves. It should be an easy save and an easy catch, but he parried it. But City survived, which is the main thing for Pep Guardiola. I think City have been told to kick the ball out of play here, or Akanji's been fouled anyway, so the change can be made. Calvin Phillips is going to be coming on for Rodri for additional time. Rise, smile for Calvin Phillips. He knows these aren't the minutes he wants to be getting, as a lot of the Manchester City crowd start to disperse. So they're able to beat the traffic before the full-time whistle. So Calvin Phillips will be coming on for added on time, and added on time will be 3 minutes. So it's a 3-minute cameo for Calvin Phillips, signed in the summer from Leeds for £45 million. Made his Manchester City debut against West Ham in the reverse fixture. Opening weekend of the season. Again, that was also made as a substitute. Just needs to learn the City way of playing. It just seems like Pep Guardiola isn't quite confident enough in him yet. But I'm sure with time he'll adapt and he'll be a good signing for Manchester City. Might just need a bit of time. Stefan Ortega. So it looks like it's going to be a 9th win in a row for Manchester City. They're on a great winning run as well in all competitions. The only recent game where they've not won was Bayern Munich away when they drew 1-1 in the second leg. But obviously we know that that was more than good enough for Manchester City to get through to the Champions League semi-final, where they'll be facing Real Madrid next week. They've got Leeds before that on the Saturday at 3 o'clock. But City are just seeing this game out. So it looks like West Ham will be staying in 15th spot. 4 points off the drop. 4 points behind 16th. 4 points ahead of 16th place Leicester, 17th place Leeds and 18th place Forest, and then 5 ahead of 19th place West Ham. So they've got a little bit of breathing room, but they could do with a couple more points from now till the end of the season. A minute to go. They've added on time. Jack Grealish one-on-one with Ben Johnson. Gets it through to Bernardo Silva. Pulls it through. Foden with the shot. Good save by Fabianski. And he can collect it as it bounces off Phil Downs. Foden looking for a brace. It was well played into him by Bernardo Silva. Straight at Fabianski though, unfortunately. And Phil Foden's frustrated. He wanted a second. He's not going to get a second. But it will be a comfortable 3-0 victory for Manchester City at home to West Ham United. Manchester City had failed to score more than 2 against West Ham in the last 7 games in all competitions. The last time they scored more than 2 before tonight was the 5-0 win in the opening day of in the 2019-2020 season. And as we have full time, they have once again broke that, and they have scored 3 tonight. As Pep Guardiola shakes hands with fourth official Robert Jones and the West Ham staff, he can be more than happy with his team's performance. It wasn't a great first half performance. A half of not many chances for either side. It ended 0-0, but 5 minutes into the second half, from a Mahrez free kick, he crossed it to the far post where Nathan Ake broke the deadlock with the header as he returns from injury for Manchester City. And then from there, City started to dominate. West Ham reacted decently to going 1-0 behind, but they were never dangerous enough to look like they were going to score or get level. And in the 70th minute, Haaland broke another record, and he's become the player to score the most goals in a single Premier League season, beating Andy Cole and Alan Shearer on 34. He now surpasses them on 35. And for him in the Premier League, he's still got another 5 games to play. So it could be more than 35 by the end of the season for the Norwegian. And Phil Foden off the bench, slowly returning from his appendix injury and his surgery, scored a deflected strike from the edge of the box in the 85th minute to make it 3-0. And in the end, it's been a comfortable night for Manchester City as it ends at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 3, West Ham United 0. Thanks to everyone who's been here tonight. Looks like Liverpool are going to shut out Fulham for a 1-0 win at Anfield. Pep Guardiola delighted, and so he should. His team have gone top of the league by a point with a game in hand. There is Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch, congratulating his teammates. As when De Bruyne does return, it'll be his 350th appearance for Manchester City in the Premier League. He's currently on 101 assists. 102 assists, 101 of them for Manchester City. He was the quickest to get there to 100 assists in the Premier League, beating Fabregas. And there's a guard of honour being made here for Manchester City from their staff and substitutes. I wonder who this is for. As they make a little tunnel and a guard of honour. Who is this for? Who is this for? It's for Erling Haaland, who obviously has broken that Premier League record. So he's going to have to run in between his teammates as they give him complimentary slaps to the head as he runs through each and every one of them. 35 for the season in the Premier League. He's going to become one of the greats. He's going to become one of the greatest players of all time, especially in terms of goal scoring. 35 Premier League goals in 31 appearances. That comes with 4 hat-tricks, 5 braces, and one of many records he's broken this year. Erling Haaland, take a bow. What a record, what a player, what a man, and City are on for the treble. Thank you to everyone who's joined tonight for the live commentary of Manchester City versus West Ham United. And in the end, it's a comfortable 3 points. It's 3 goals, it's 3 points. City are back on top of the league, and can they finish this season with 3 trophies in the treble? We'll wait and see. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. As Manchester City closing in on the Premier League, and there's a hell of a way to go for the treble, but they're edging a step closer each game they win.